Look, this is a summary. So now we move on to today, okay? So what drives us? What's pushing us in our lives, yeah? What are the things that drive us? I give you the traditional, yeah? But who wants to go? What pushes us? What drives us? I have to do this because some people have heard this talk so often. I've got to engage them, you know. Oh, it's a bit boring, yeah? I'll put you on the spot. Rob, what drives us, do you think? There's a clue.
Positive thing.
You give us a positive one. It's not there.
Love and care.
Love and care. You've got a young, beautiful daughter. You'd do anything for her, wouldn't you? yeah. Yeah, so love and care. But what are the less positive things that drive us?
Greed.
Yes, greed. It's avarice. It's how capitalism works, isn't it? It's how the world goes round. It's not money makes the world go round, it's greed, yeah? Greed. What's the other great force? Amy again. Oh, somebody else. Aversion. Yes. Hatred, aversion, yes. And the third one is an odd one, but one of the regulars will know it. Juliet? Delusion. All right, just being stupid. That can drive us forever. And funnily enough, my teacher says that delusion is the most dangerous. You know? You could get somebody in the Spanish Inquisition, they're torturing somebody, you know, and in the end, their whole being goes, I don't like this job. Yeah? And they go, 'tis the devil speaking to me. And they get back in there again, out of delusion. The hatred's gone, but the delusion keeps going, you know? I've got to do God's work. So, yes, delusion, a powerful force. And traditionally, these three forces are summed up in these three animals, yes? This is very traditional in Buddhism. The cockerel, the snake, and the pig. Okay? And it's a bit of a surprise for us why different animals are... Well, we say greedy pig, don't we? Yeah? But pig is delusion in Buddhism, yeah? Why is the pig delusion? Why do you think? Yes, Juliet, it covers its little eyes. I saw two of them in Spain, no, in Italy. They turned a whole field over, these two pigs. The ears came down over the eyes and they turned the whole field upside down, looking for roots and worms and all that. So the little eyes, and they eat everything, but I'm not going to go into detail there. I've done that in the past, it's a bit disgusting, yeah? I know Jan likes my pig impersonation, but anyway. and they eat everything, you know, all the muck. So because they seem to be undiscriminating, they're associated with delusion. That's not true. They're truffle hunters. They're amazing, their noses. They're intelligent. Yeah, I never saw that. What was it? The pig film? Don't know. What was it? Babe, that's right. They cheated. They had about 10 actors. Did you know that? Anyway, sorry, there was 10 pigs, doesn't matter. But they cheated. It wasn't the same pig. But it was so intelligent, and pigs can be so smart, you know? But fair enough, it's delusion in this one, just ignorance, all right? The cockerel, why is that greed? Somebody must have been on a farm for a while. What do? Yes. They just eat, don't they? And they seem to eat everything, yeah? And I found out why. Because they're tasty, yeah? They don't want to be out there for long. So if they see a load of corn, they will swallow that corn in minutes. And I looked it up on the internet the other night. The internet, as you know, is always right. And they have this sack, it's called a crop. And it's about the size of a tennis ball, and everything goes straight into that. They don't chew anything. It's just, they don't have teeth, you know. Straight in, fills it up, and they just devour everything there, and they're gone. So greed. Then it goes from the crop down to the gizzard, and the gizzard, it's amazing. They got stones in the gizzard, which grinds. They have stones. Can you believe that? They swallow stones the size of pebbles. They get soft ones for the shells and hard ones to grind up the grain. And that's why sometimes dinosaur remains, you'll find these perfectly round stones in the middle of the dinosaur bones where they used to have stones in their gizzards too. Ooh, you live and learn. You don't just get Buddhism here. There we go. Great.
But also because they're dominant, no?
They're dominant. The cockerel is dominant. They're fighters.
Yeah.
They're real fighters. But in this thing, it's just greed we're interested in. It's that continual eating. Fantastic. And hatred, we don't need to go far with hatred. The snake, cold-blooded. You don't take a snake to bed with you. Not for, you know, might take a puppy, but not a snake. And, yeah. Snakes. I remember being in India and seeing the dead snakes where locals had hit them with sticks, you know. About 12 Australians die each year of snake bite. How many in India? At a guess. How many die of snake bite in India each year? Australia, 12. India?
12,000.
47,000.
Whoa.
Yeah? I think they're far from the hospitals, blah, blah, blah. So, hatred. Yeah? So these are the three forces. Yeah? And we can go further. So these are the three forces. And to put it simply, you'll know this. One force is to push away. One force is to pull in. And the other is to pretend something's going on. All right. Sangharakshita likes the term ego identity. Ego identity. I have an ego identity. I think I'm Lalitaratna. I've got these characteristics. This is me. I think I'm so intelligent or so stupid or that. I've got a picture of who I am. Yes, this is my ego identity. Somebody comes along and goes, "Oh, Lalitaratna, you're so smart." I go, "I really like you. You can stay." Yeah? They support my ego identity. Somebody else says, "No, I think it's a bit stupid. I don't like you. Please go away." You know, they're threatening my ego identity. So these are the two forces, yeah? It's not just grabbing things, it's supporting the picture of who you are. And the third method is fantastic. You put your fingers in your ear and go, "I'm brilliant." Don't listen to the world, and you just keep your delusion, yes? So these are the three. Very good, very good. And they're completely reactive. They're just, yeah? They're totally reactive. And so the Buddha wants to know, how can we be creative? And that's where he brings in ethics. Yes, he brings in ethics. So now, I'm going to bring over the precepts. Max, could you help me, please? Yes? Here they are.
Oh, literally.
Yeah. Right. It's sort of Velcro thing. It might work, it might not. It might work. I don't know. It's too big, isn't it? It has to be low down, yeah? All right. I've just discovered this board sort of works with Velcro, yeah? Sort of. Okay, might not, might fall down, don't know. Let's take one here. I was also a builder. Good. What are you about? What are you doing, Michael? Is that?
In the precepts.
So, okay, these are all in Pali, yeah? So let's have a little look. You can come out. And what do they mean? What do they mean? What do they mean? Good. So, the first one, I've got a better colour. Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. These are chanted over the whole Buddhist world every day. We've chanted them in our communities here. The order meeting every Sunday, every Thursday, we chant these precepts. They're in Pali. And basically, the first one, Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. I undertake the training principle of not harming living beings, not taking life. Okay? So, I'll say not harming, all right? Not harming. Good. So this is the first precept we're going to practice. Yeah? We're just not going to, and actually, I'm being a bit gentle there, the real meaning of the word panatipata, atipata means to strike somebody down. Yeah? The real meaning. So this is, it virtually means killing. Yes? So we abstain from killing. And we can think, well, I don't usually kill. It's not really my problem, you know? Yeah? Your insurance company might have investments in a dangerous country. That's another thing, yeah? But, okay, let's have a little think about it. Sorry, lost my notes totally. Okay, yeah. How can it affect us more directly? I think just sort of damaging people, yeah? Bullying at work, things like this, yeah? But what I'd like to talk about first of all, actually, is that certain actions, I'm jumping around a bit now, certain actions have almost got a genius in them. You know, certain actions are good. Like generosity is good. If somebody's generous, you like to be with them and the atmosphere around them gets better. It's a very good thing, generosity. I went on a shiatsu weekend once and they told this story. The principle here is that certain actions have got a certain genius. You might know the story. Young man gets married, sweet young bride. The man's mother lives with them. All right, so the mother-in-law is there in the house. There's three of them, mother-in-law, son, young bride. The mother-in-law and the bride do not get on. Oh, that's original, yeah? They end up hating each other. It gets so bad that the young daughter, she thinks, I can't live here anymore. What am I going to do? And she goes to the village and she goes to visit the poisoner. And she buys some poison, yeah? We don't know what country this tale is in. And she says, I want a slow-acting poison so that the old woman looks like she's slowly getting iller and iller over months and then dies. And the poisoner goes, okay, I've got something. Yeah, I'll give you something for that. And she says, here's this ointment. She says, you have to massage it into her every morning, okay? She said, and will it work slowly? He goes, yes, it will work slowly. So, next day, she offers the mother-in-law a massage. The mother-in-law gives her a massage, and so it goes on, day after day. And bit by bit, this young bride, you know, she massages the mother-in-law, and she's going, you old bag, you know, and she gets the little knots of muscles, and she says, and she's trying, I'm going to work this poison right in there, you know, and she's working away at it, and the old mother-in-law going, yeah, you got it, you know, and as it goes on, day after day, week after week, she's looking at this old body, and she said, this poor old cow, you know, she's worked so hard, she's brought up her kids, you know, her body is bent, you know, the hands are worn out, and she starts feeling compassion, yeah? And the old dear's going, that's a really good massage. She's not such a bad daughter-in-law after all. And the two of them get warmer and warmer together, and suddenly, catastrophe, the bride realises she likes her. And she goes running off early the next morning, knocking on the poisoner's door. She goes, I've changed my mind. She says, have you got the antidote? She goes, and the poisoner goes, there is no antidote. She goes, what? She says, it wasn't poison, it was just massage cream. She said, I know she's not a bad old dear, you know, I knew you'd get to like her, you know, and that's the end of the story. They end up best mates. It's fantastic, isn't it? So it's like the action of the two bodies coming together produced a friendship. So there are certain actions, like generosity, which have an inherent goodness about them, yeah? So, and I do remember my friend Chakupala, he's dead now, but he got married and I thought, no, he's an academic, he's in his head, you know, he's not a parent. He turned out to be one of the most amazing parents I've ever seen, yeah? And one day I stayed with him and his wife, the child had measles, and all through the night they took it in turns looking after the child, the mother and the father. And in the morning, they're both sitting there at breakfast. I said, how did you do it? And what did he call it? He said, biological altruism. But it changed him. It changed him as a person through practicing a sort of generosity, even though he was obliged to do it every day. He became a kinder and softer and warmer person, yeah? So, back to these. So here we are. The first one is not harming living beings. The second one is not taking what's not yours, yeah? So, I'll say not stealing, yeah? But it's more than that, yeah? If you find a purse on the bus, it's full of money, it's not yours. That's Buddhism, it's not yours. You have to hand it in, sorry. You know? I sometimes fantasizing about finding €1 million drug money, you know? But it's not mine. Yeah, and I do remember just a few years back in Berlin, coming in from England, tired, exhausted, with all my bags, and I got off the U-Bahn, and I left this little bag on the train. It had everything in it: passport, driving license, wallet, computer, everything was in it. And I went to the lost property the next day and said, "Oh yeah, we got that." And I know there were 4 young Greek students sitting opposite me. They must have taken it straight to the lost property. And it was lovely. This in the lost property office, this woman pulled out this bag with about £35 in it. I said, "Oh, I thought it was less than that, you know." And she said they probably thought, "Der Arme, ich muss ein Beitrag machen." You know, she you understand it? Yeah. She thought the poor devil will make a contribution. But it's an amazing experience, what it does for your faith in humanity when somebody gives it back, they return your property. So, so taking the not given. And Sangharakshita, in his lecture or talk, it's a paper actually, the 10 Precepts, the 10 Pillars of Buddhism, he says you can not just steal property and things like that, you can steal the energy of other people. You know, you can be a total drain on people. You've got to be very aware not to suck the life out of others, you know, just boring, you know. And there's an old British movie, Brief Encounter? No. Years ago, I had a very young girlfriend, and the reason we worked out so well was she was so old-fashioned. She belonged to 1950, you know, even though she was only about 20 years old, you know. And I used to take her to all these old black and white movies, you know, The Third Man, Brief, and she loved it a lot. That's why we got on. But in the Brief Encounter, you see somebody sucking the life out of a couple, you know, in a restaurant, yeah? And it's all on film, and it's amazing, yeah? So, anyway, there we go. Sorry, indulgent. Brief Encounter, go and see it. Rachmaninoff playing in the background, yeah? Not in the cafe. Good. So, so we had not killing, not taking what's not given to you. And I read this book by this priest, Joseph McCabe. He was a theologian. He said there was a great joke in the theologian college in the Vatican, near the Vatican in Rome, that an old lady lost her purse in the church and she was terrified in case a theologian found it. Why? If a theologian found it, he could argue that money into his own pocket. Yeah? Sorry, I find it quite funny. You know, he'd rationalise that money. He'd say, well, I do God's work. This woman obviously supports God's work. So if I take that money and put it in my pocket, I am doing God's work. You know, and this was the joke in the theological college between the priests. So there we go. All right. Kame su michachara veramani sikapadang. You know, kame su. I will abstain from sexual misconduct. Yeah? Now, I don't want to say much because I really don't feel like an expert at all. You know? I feel like a real amateur in this area. But I couldn't speak for women, you know, I couldn't speak for most men. So, but what we have in Buddhism are 3 principles, but they're very old. They're from the time of the Buddha. And they are, don't rape. Well, that hasn't changed, yeah? Don't rape. Don't pinch somebody else's husband or wife. It's not considered good behaviour in Buddhism, yeah? And the third one is, don't steal a child with the purpose of marrying her later. Which apparently was but we've lost that crime generally, you know. But it used to happen a lot. You see a 12-year-old, I'll have her, and you run in. It does happen in some countries, yeah? You steal a young girl and marry her, yeah? And the Buddha said this is not on. But for myself, I don't know what to say about this precept. My own thing was show good manners in the bedroom, yeah? But even that doesn't work if you both agreed not to show good manners in the bedroom, you know. There's a little bit of BDSM there, you know. Interesting. And I know of a couple of couples who've gone to Sangharakshita and they've said, oh, we practice BDSM. He must say, what is that? You know, yeah, that's all right. And they explain, and he has said, they seem like nice people. They seem to have a good time. They're consenting adults. I don't have any problem with it. And that's happened a few times, you know. So there we go. Yeah, the way people get their kicks, that's up to them. That's a bit controversial in our movement. I'm giving you one opinion, yeah. But other aspects, homosexuality was never an issue in the Theravada initiative. It just doesn't come up. It's not. We've had gay retreats for years. I remember them being, you know, in Pamaloka 30 years ago, gay retreats, lesbian retreats, yeah. There was one gay retreat where this whole bunch of queens arrived, yeah, with all their frocks and dresses and makeup, and it was a riot. And I think it put the Pamaloka team off a little bit, you know. And apparently this gang used to go to different retreats, Christian retreats and all the rest. But it's not an issue. It's just not an issue, homosexuality. Good? All right, Musavada, Veramani, Sikkhapadam. What's that? That is truthful speech. Yeah? Just put truthful, yeah? Now what's interesting is these are the 5 precepts chanted throughout the Buddhist world. But order members, we take on some extra precepts. We take on 3 more speech ones where we attempt to speak in a kindly way, in a helpful way, and in a way that supports harmony. It's very nice if you can do that. Yeah? Very nice. So, but listen, I want to say this. Yes, we should be truthful. Great. So you rush out to work, you know, on Monday, and you're going to be truthful from now on. They won't know what hit them, and you won't know what hit you. Yeah. It's and what I realised is it's quite good to do this progressively. Yeah. Just I went through phases where I couldn't agree with something, so I'd just be quiet. And that used to upset people. They say, well, don't you think that's great? You know, and I go, yeah. And that's a challenge to people. But in the end, your reputation changes. And it works, but it needs time. So when I was a school teacher, we had this woman in our staff called Beryl. And Beryl told the truth. That was her job. That was her function. So the other staff come and say, what do you think of this? Oh, it's lovely, it looks wonderful on you. It's this, that, the other. Do you think that fits, you know? And they'd ask all these questions, and then in the end, you needed the truth, so you go and ask Beryl. Beryl, how does this look? She goes, your ass looks fat, you know. Oh, thank you, Beryl. You know, and but we all knew Beryl told the truth. She was valued. She was, you know, a treasure. Yeah. So there we go. But obviously, you have to sort of work your way towards that, I think. And you do get cleverer and cleverer at speaking the truth as well. You don't just blurt it out, you know? Yeah? You've got to be a little bit appropriate, I think is the word. Good. The last one, Sura Meriya Maja Pamatatana Vermi Sikkhapadam. Staying away from intoxicants. Oh no! But Berlin is out of its head. We're all on drugs here. That's what Berliners do. You know, I don't know the half of it. But when you talk to young people, this is advice. They're not, these, I should have said it earlier, they're not commandments. Yeah? I was in a church once and it said, if you, I can't remember the words, but if you didn't honour God's name, the fathers would be punished down to the 3rd and the 4th generation. That your grandchildren your great-grandchildren are going to get punished because you swore about God. It was on the wall of the church, you know, it's hundreds of years old in stone. Yeah, it pops up a couple of times in the Bible. I found it a couple of times, the 10 Commandments. So they're commandments. So you don't just have to do it, you get punished if you don't. This is advice. It's helpful advice. So, yeah, you go off on a retreat, do all this mindfulness, all this meditation, get home, Sunday night, get swagged. It sort of undermines your efforts a little bit, you know. So you need to think, what do I want? What do I want? It's completely your choice, yeah? And I think the good thing is that a lot of people sort of get a bit, I can remember being so stoned once when I was a student. I was lying on this bed, we're all lying on bed, so stoned, this particular dope, that nobody could talk. And Soft Machine was playing, and I just thought, I'm bored. I remember my dear friend Chakupala coming for the weekend, and whatever cannabis he had, we couldn't talk on that. So from Friday night to Sunday, no conversation at all. Yeah, and then he went home and said, thanks for the talk, and went home. I remember a fella visiting me in Ireland, and I wasn't smoking then, and he came to stay, and him and his wife, I think their marriage worked because they were both stoned all the time. She called herself the cannabis fairy. You know, it's hypnotic. Dope is a hypnotic, you know, and it protected their marriage. But 11 o'clock at night, he had to have his joint, yeah? So 11 o'clock, he rolled up, and this big stupid grin came on his face. And he felt the communication was just beginning. And I used to get this pain of loneliness go right through my heart. I was on my own with this idiot. Sorry. But if you're all smoking dope, it sort of works. But if you're not, you know, so there we go. So it's up to you. It's up to you, really. What else on this? Yeah, ethics. What we don't seem to know in our society is that if we genuinely wanted to be happier, you do need an ethical life. I don't know who's bought an AB ticket and gone all the way out to the airport, and you know it's an ABC. Yeah, the last 4 stops, it's a bit. Yeah. You know, there's sort of, and it's for an extra 70 cents, it's a nice journey. That's not very much, you know. Some people spend millions on therapy when, in fact, a few euros would make them happier. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's true. You know, it's absolutely true. And so I mean, that's most of it. I was trying to think about not harming. The obvious one is vegetarianism, and I didn't say anything about that. But you can't persuade, I don't think you can persuade people to become vegetarian. It doesn't work. It's such an emotional area. I went vegetarian because before Buddhism, I got this book from a yoga book, and it said, don't eat meat or dairy for 4 weeks and see the effect it has on your meditation. I did it. You know, it's only 4 weeks. At the end of the 4 weeks, I couldn't go back. I think you need a break from meat eating to allow you to think about what you're doing. You need a holiday from meat eating. And then you go, oh, I'm surviving, you know. And do I want to put somebody's shoulder into my mouth? You know, and so that's it, really. I do remember, and just the realities of vegetarianism, of meat eating, as I say, it's not rational. I can't give you a rational argument, because somebody could say, well, I eat meat and I'm keeping 100 million cows alive every year, you know? All the chickens who now have a life because I eat chickens, you know? So, all right. But I do remember as a kid in Ireland on holiday, and we took a shortcut through a butcher's yard and out the back into the slaughterhouse, yeah? And the air was thick with fear. You could slice the air with a knife. The fear, the poor pigs, they all knew they were going pure, solid terror, yeah? It was so strong that my arms and legs wanted to vomit. And I just remember making it to the gate and getting out. So it's you know, it's strong stuff, you know. And by contrast, sitting on a fence watching combine harvesters mowing a field, and the smell of the new hay, and this is heaven. That's not a rational argument. That's just 2 emotional experiences. So you can't. I don't know if you could argue it really, but the poor old animals, they don't want to go. They don't want to go. I was vegetarian for 25 years, and then I started hanging around the fish counter in supermarkets. I did that for 2 years, looking at the fish, frozen fish. It went on and on and on. And one day I went into a fish and chip shop and I bought some fish and my body went to heaven. You know, so now I don't need much. I had half a tin of sardines. I just need a little bit of sardines. And all the pain in my joints is gone. So I'm not really a veggie. But the first time I did it, that night I dreamt, you know how sardines, all the heads are cut off, yeah? I'm in this dream, and there's all these little sardine heads all swimming around in this pool. So I don't like it, yeah, but I'm not truly a veggie myself, you know. Oh, sorry, I had this stupid bloody self-indulgent thing of, you know, all the Hollywood films, you know, the buffalo and the Native American Indian. We salute the buffalo, we thank him for his sacrifice, yeah? And I just imagine the poor buffalo in a Eddie Izzard voice. Well, actually, if it's really a deal, you know, I'm not that keen. Yes? But your sacrifice, we appreciate your sacrifice, you're the buffalo. And I just imagine, so this is pure self-indulgence, I just imagine this buffalo saying, have you tried soya chunks? You know? They're much more protein and I don't die. So maybe on that piece of stupidity at the end. Oh, a little bit on, yeah, just one thing about, I'm all over the place here, but intoxicants, there can be great social pressure to take intoxicants, yeah? And I remember when I stopped drinking beer, I didn't want to drink. I forgot to go to a pub for 20 years, I just forgot. Yeah, 20 years. I was such a drinker. My first meditations, I'd be in the shrine room, everyone's doing the mindfulness of breathing. I've got this huge pint of beer visualized in my meditation, you know. Beer was my refuge, you know. I went to beer for refuge. And that all had to, go. But years later, sitting in a bar with a friend, and he said, what do you want? I said, orange juice or something. And he slammed this beer on the table in front of me with such violence, some of it spilt, you know. He wouldn't have it that I was not drinking beer. So there's huge pressure. But then I got a job as a prison chaplain. And the chaplaincy said, you have to not drink alcohol if you want the job. I went, all right. And then the very same friends, they said, beer? I said, no, I cannot drink beer because my job says I cannot have beer. I cannot drink alcohol. Oh, it's your job. Well, that's the holy of holies. We will not offer you beer again. So I just say that. But just to be aware of the social pressures. And it's very hard. It's very hard not to smoke or not to drink. That will do. Any questions? We've got 5 minutes. Anything? Because some of it is controversial. Somebody might think, yeah.